Welcome to the Idea Climbing Podcast. Marketing is much more powerful when it's driven by a purpose and a mission. I discuss how to do that with my guest, Ryan Chute. Ryan leads an award-winning creative agency within the legendary Wizard of Ads group. As an Emmy Award winning producer and an executive producer, Ryan has a deep rooted passion for powerful storytelling and pivotal moments in entertainment. He builds creative, data driven strategies that tap into the psychology of persuasion and the science of decision making. We dive into topics including how to build the bridge between having a mission and having a marketing strategy that includes that mission, the three kinds of emotions you want people to feel as a result of your marketing campaigns, the one thing above all else that you need to do to create a successful mission-based marketing strategy, and more golden nuggets of advice. You're going to love this show. Thank you for making time to be on the Idea Climbing Podcast. I appreciate it, Ryan.
Absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to this.
And we're going to be talking about how to create a mission-based marketing strategy. I love it. Before we get into the tips, the tricks, the tactics, the strategy, first I'd like to know, how did you get so good at it that you teach it and do it? I mean, what's your story with mission-based marketing strategies?
I learned from the master himself and continue to be his disciple and student, Roy H. Williams, Wizard of Ads, the man that I partnered with in 2017, from the beginnings at Wizard Academy in Austin, Texas, where I first learned in depth about how to look at marketing from a more holistic sense, not just a transactional or tactical sense.
So when it comes to mission-based, break it down a little bit, because mission is a big word with a lot of meanings and to different people depending how you're using it. What does the mission part of it mean to you?
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Mark. That's really one of the biggest challenges with all communication in life is agreeing on a definition of terms. And if we could all just agree for a moment in this context that mission means something internal to the company, not external to the public. If you were in the military and we were all sitting in a trench together and we're looking up at a hill and we say, we need to take that hill, chances are the commander's not going to yell out, hey, we're going to go take that hill now, right? They're probably going to do a slightly different tactic. And when we think about that, just for a moment in the military sense, where mission really does kind of derive from, we think about commander's intent. Now, commander's intent actually got popularized back in Napoleonic era, where the Germans were fighting the Napoleon armies and they were losing miserably. And the Germans realized one profoundly important thing, that we are going to have to sacrifice our autocratic way, our rigid thoughts around how to smash armies into each other, and instead come up with the freedom, the flexibility of the army to be able to take the hill however they might. And when they did that, the tides of the campaign changed. So this is. Fast forward to 1983, and the U.S. military for the first time puts it into their official doctrine of how they go about allowing for leadership on the battlefield to take place. And this is where my heart lives, in this notion of everyone's a leader and that we all just have to bring the leader out in people and help leaders lead, regardless of rank, authority, or title. And this is the beginnings of mission-based marketing, of mission-based businesses. And the idea here is that you, as the commander, you have this notion, this feeling of how you wanted to start and run a business different than probably how you have been engaged in business in the past, and ways that you feel are righting rights that are wrong and fixing the things that are unjust in the way that they were done, either to the people inside of it or to the customers or to the solution itself. So you come up with the commander's intent. Now, the commander's intent, as I've discovered, lives in three buckets: helping people win, being grateful, and being trustworthy, right? And this notion of gratitude is a definition of terms. What does gratitude mean to you as the individual? Is it through the way that you pay your employees, to the way that you present policy and return policies for your customers, how you present price, deliver solution, deliver more or less value for a particular solution that you're offering? All of this lives in the humility and the abundance of gratitude. Then there's trustworthiness. Now we all heard the classic keywords that you post up on the wall that collect
Yeah.
dust about integrity and honesty, and it's like all of the things. But what does that actually mean? Those are just words. Those are just nonsense. They're just distraction. What does being trustworthy mean? What does the action of trust and gaining the worthiness of trust actually mean to you? Well, that's going to show up in what you decide to do when it's convenient for you and when it's inconvenient for you. This is the foundation of values and beliefs. Now, beliefs are like the constellations in the sky. They move around, they're pretty, and they're informative, but they're convenient and they move. They move depending on the situation. And any situation where it's inconvenient for you, if you're willing to change to sit on the side of the table that is convenient for you, well, then you have a worthless belief. Worthless in so much as worthless to the customer or to the receiver.
Yeah. I was just thinking before what you said, I love it because so many companies of all sizes have that mission statement. No one can freaking repeat like the first two sentences, much less 10 sentences or a paragraph. When
Hmm.
it comes to, let's say, like a solopreneur or a smaller business that doesn't have the resources to hire, a branding agency to come in, before words like trustworthy or what you believe go on the wall, how do you connect to your mission in the first place?
That's it. Well, it ultimately, when we all agree that the mission is to help people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner, the next step from that mission is what are the rules of engagement, right? ROEs. This is again military based on commander's intent. And what is the objective that we're trying to do? What hill are we trying to conquer? Well, in the HR department, we're trying to get the right employees. And in sales, we're trying to close every sale that we go into ethically. In CSRs, we're trying to convert it to an appointment. In marketing, we're looking at getting a conversion into the sales qualified lead funnel. Ultimately, all of those things are missions within a business, within a campaign. Why does this all matter to the mission driven business? Well, until you understand what mission is, you can't have a mission driven business, right? So if we can all agree for a moment that helping people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner is the mission, what does that mean to you in your business? What does helping people win mean? Well, and in trustworthiness, it's beliefs and values. The values are the things that you take consequence for, right? You accept the consequence, you suffer, you struggle, and that's where your true value shows up, right? People only value the things that they receive from you. That means that you had to concede on somehow. And I'm talking both tangible and intangible in nature. Helping people win. Notice I said people, not customers. People, which means it starts with your employees. If you're helping your employee be more successful and setting them up to make it easier to sell, well, then they'll be helped by being able to close more stuff, and the buyers will be able to buy more stuff, and then you will win. So your mission ends up being, what is the thing that stands out that your competition is unwilling to do? What consequence are you willing to receive that your competition is not willing to receive? Amazon popularized this in a huge way, right? They changed the landscape of retail forever because you can return anything you want, right? And they made it really overtly easy to do that. And that forced a whole bunch of retailers to relook at their policy on how they're going to treat customers, right? And they made it frictionless by removing all of the bumps and along the way. In Austin here, I can take down a package down to Whole Foods and drop it off to get returned when I'm going to pick up my groceries, right? So all of these places where we can create less challenge for the customer to do the thing makes it easier for people to buy from you. So their mission is helping people win, is making it easy to do business with, right? Being trustworthy is you can return it, regardless of which vendor sold it to you within our construct, right? And last but not least is doing it in a grateful way by throwing in reward and giving prime membership and making it an environment in which you receive as part of the package.
So once you find the mission, you connect to everything you just said, or some of the things you just said. That was a lot. That was freaking awesome. Once you connect to a mission and decide on it, what's the bridge between having the mission and having a marketing strategy before you combine them?
Now you have a game plan for what assets you have available to you. If you're a small business and you're like, we're going to sell t-shirts. We're going to sell them for $40, but we're going to have super original designs. We're not going to be like all the other campy guys that look all the same as anywhere else. And our t-shirts are actually going to be nice, right? We're not going to get just the cheap t-shirts that you can buy anywhere and just overprice them. We're going to do two things really, really good so that people feel right about wearing these t-shirts. And then if they don't like it, you can return it. No problem. No questions asked. Absolutely done. If there's a problem with it, we'll give you a new one. Full stop. You're paying a little bit of a premium for that. Those t-shirts are $40. Well, it's enough margin so that you can be generous about the thing that you do, but people are proud of wearing them because they represent their identity. They say, this is me. I'm this cheeky guy who has the bird on the thing saying cheeseburger, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what we're creating is this environment where people are self-subscribing. They are stepping into your gravity well, and then you're making it easy for them to say yes because you've created an environment of easy path forward. You've made it convenient before, during, and after the sale. How can you do that in your business? Every business has a lever. Every business person stepped into this trying to solve an injustice. They're not stepping into it to say, hey, I just want to be like everyone else and capitalize on all this cash. And if you do, good luck, right? You're just going to be another pedestrian company that's going to scrap it out and do your thing. And you're going to have to do something, probably inconsistent with your business. Or what customers care about to get them to buy from you. Great. Go forth and prosper. This is America.
So if you get something in the short term, I'm really interested in now as far as with the marketing, how do you build it and not just be a blip like the t-shirts, we sold a lot of shirts, now it's over. How do you get a marketing strategy that can last a longer period of time and not just be like a one-time marketing tactic?
It's all in the message. Everything's in the message. It's not the channel. Channel doesn't matter. You can make it the channel work anywhere, anyway, anyhow. There's good channels to use. There's bad channels to use depending on the strategy. It's all in the message. When you stay true to your message and continue the message, when your story has an arc and it continues on, when your characters within your business have an arc, people will continue to tune in. When you continue to have new things for them to consume, you can do that, be it a t-shirt or an air conditioning company. Not all companies are relational in nature. You buy a roof, you're probably not buying another roof for 10, 15, 20 years or ever because you've moved and things happen. So the relationship is more transactional in that exchange. So it's more about do it right the first time for the least amount of money. Well, when you're coming back into the person's life over and over and over again, from haircuts through to plumbing, right? Then ultimately you need to attach emotion to your impression. And impressions include the buying experience, the billboard, the radio ad, the social media post. Every single thing is an impression. The moment that you're able to effectively attach emotion to it and then endure that emotion through repetition, right? Because without repetition, you have no brand, right? That is going to be the thing that has your business be endurable and durable in the customer's brain. You go from 7-second memory to 7-day memory to long-term memory, but then you have to keep feeding that memory. You have to keep adding bricks to the house, and use the mortar of emotion to build this real estate in the customer's brain. And companies like Apple and Coke and McDonald's continue to spend 7% of their budget on marketing, not to get new customers, but to remind the customers that they currently have that they're the choice that makes sense.
That's awesome. What are some examples? You said emotion. That's kind of broad. What would an example of what kind of emotion do you want attached to, and does it depend on the company?
Three specific things, no matter the company, no matter what, every single time, there's three emotions that matter that actually have the chemical adhesive necessary in the chemistry of the brain to have durable memory. Laugh, cry, or make them angry. And not angry at you, but angry at the situation, at the enemy, right? Whatever that enemy has been painted to be, right? Usually not the competition, usually some injustice that the industry has faced, right? Right? Like ugly t-shirts, t-shirts that are too stretchy, right? Like air conditioning companies that are coming in and doing nothing but trying to sell you a new system every time they knock on your door, right? The things that don't feel right and you can commiserate with, and then we're telling the story not of ourselves. We're telling the story. We're not telling a story of a story. We're telling a story. We're being the story. So Billy Ray from Billy Ray's Hole Digging is talking about real loud because the tractor's running in the background there and it's a little bit loud and he's a little bit tone deaf and he can't hear a whole lot because he's been in that diesel tractor for all these years, and he's going to dig up the azaleas and he's going to rip up the lawn. He's going to make the biggest hole you ever seen your whole wide life. And people are now into this story. Like, what is Billy Ray going to do next? Well, Billy Ray's going to talk about his Yelp reviews and how proud he is of Mrs. Jones, horrified, and Hershey is doing this thing. And it's just like, and then we then de-escalate it down into the solution that we have in the second half of the ad. And now we've just created a crescendo. We've created an emotional peak. We've brought it down and we've landed it with the here's the solution. Attach the pain to the pleasure. And now you have this Pavlov's dog situation going on where we ring the bell, the dog salivates whether they get the meat paste or not.
Well, once you get rolling, when it comes to the mission, is it pliable? Does it change over time? Is it something that once you set it and forget it and keep it, or can it change?
I think that businesses naturally evolve as they get bigger, and iteration and evolution happen forever, right? As you add in layers of management, as you further detach from the commander and that original commander's intent, there has to be a core value system that stays consistent. That's why helping people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner remains the mission. That the objective by department may shift, but usually the core objectives stay the same. If you're in sales, the objective is to sell. If you're in HR, the objective is to hire right, marketing, accounting, so forth. But the overarching mission, the vision may change, right? But a lot of these things that people like to keep changing and adding and come up with a cuter word, all of that is nonsense. Here's the things that matter most. Your beliefs are interchangeable. There is no consequence to belief. That's what makes them worthless. They're important, but we have to recognize that if you're willing to do this in this situation and that situation with this belief, that it doesn't serve the person that's receiving. The only one that is served is when you're willing to take a consequence. That's what you have for core values. And when you have core values that do not change regardless of consequence, you're going to struggle. You're going to suffer. You're going to self-impose punishment upon yourself in those situations where you didn't do what was promised. And that's where true value lies. So ultimately, what you may put as a consequence could change, right? You may escalate it. You may change it to something else. That possibly could change, certainly as the business evolves or pivots or does any of these things. But that's what you've really got to ask yourself as a business owner. What is it that I'm willing to stand on? What hill am I willing to die on? And what hill am I not? And when we pick the hills that we're willing to die on, those are going to be the hills that people point up and say, that's a hero that I'm willing to follow.
When you have a mission it's established, you love it. I might know the answer to this, but I think it deserves clarification. As far as the mission goes, is that something that mostly drives you and why you do things, or should your mission be part of the very public facing marketing messages? Is it internal driver, external marketing, or somewhere in between?
It is an internal driver. It's always an internal driver that is absolutely safe in the public face, right? At the end of the day, I can tell any customer in the whole wide world that my mission is to help people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner, and that offends nobody and informs nobody, right? Because the true information isn't in the education of what you stand for. That means nothing to nobody. You're answering a question that no one's asked. Stop saying things that no one cares about, right? These are platitudes. What actually matters lives in your policy and how you show up, your actions and your behaviors, the punishment that you receive. For example, an air conditioning company says, we'll install your air conditioner today. Not in 24 hours, not in 72 hours, not tomorrow, not in the next 12 hours. Today, even if it's 4:30 in the afternoon, or we give you $1,500. That is real value. Now, the customer who's transactional in nature is going to look at that and go, well, you could install it tomorrow. And you're like, well, then I'm going to have to give you $1,500 then, right? And the customer's like, well, I guess so. I guess, right? And then you have the customer who's relational in nature and just wants the thing to disappear again. And it's like, sure, yeah, take my $1,500. For the love of goodness, just get it done today, right? And the consolation prize is we are full, or we have to order a part or something, and we're going to have to do it tomorrow. We're going to have to give you $1,500 off. And you're like, well, I wouldn't have gotten out of bed for for $250, but for $1,500, you've paid for your keep here. So ultimately, it's about creating an environment where, if we had a 4:30 appointment on the board and boom, it gets into a sale, can I call up an install team and say, hey guys, look, we need to pay you your regular hours plus your overtime hours, plus we're going to have an extra $350, $400, $700 for you to cover the cost of you putting in a late night install. Are you in? I'm pretty sure in most cities in America, I can find an install team that's going to be like, yep,
Yeah,
let's do
exactly.
this thing, right? When you get bigger, you can say, hey, what about maybe running a second crew in the evening, or a third or fifth or seventh crew? Because customers don't get to decide, and we don't get to decide when an air conditioner breaks. We just get to decide how we show up for that customer when they're in a time of need.
We have covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, a very short period of time. When it comes to a mission-based marketing strategy, whether it's something you said you want to reinforce, or maybe something you haven't touched on yet, if you were to tell someone that's watching or listening, and they're like, I get so much of this, I agree with you. If you would say, if you're going to do it right, at least do this one thing above all, at least do this one thing, what would you tell people to do?
Start with helping people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner, and decide what matters to you and matters to the public in those three buckets. And then find the ones that you're not willing to compromise on, and you've got yourself the biggest value proposition that you've ever had in your life.
This is awesome. And if people want to find you online, where's the best place or places to go?
RyanChute.com is my website that takes you all the places that you need to go, and Wizard Ryan Chute is my handle on socials.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Ryan. This has been great.
Thanks, Mark.
And scene.